Yo, what's good? It's the one, the only, but what do I know? Boxing back at you with some great news, man. This really lifted my spirits, man. So basically, well, ain't no basically to it. Professional boxing has been approved in Cuba for the first time since 1962. And for those that don't know, Cuba, that you're not allowed to go pro in Cuba, which is why a lot of their fighters would defect and come to the United States because you're not allowed to turn pro in Cuba. You can compete in amateurs, but you can't compete in the pro. As far as a pro, you can't turn pro in Cuba. So, according to the Zone News, it says Cuba's ban on professional boxing has been lifted, meaning their fighters are now free to replicate their amateur success in the pro rings without leaving their home country. During the presidency of Fidel Castro, pro boxing was banned in Cuba in 1962, but that didn't prevent their amateur stars from defecting to other countries in pursuit of world titles and lucrative purses. So for y'all that don't know, man, Cuba, first and foremost, let me tell you this. Cuba, amateur boxing in Cuba, they are the dominant of amateur boxing, bro. Like Cuba has Cuba boxing has the most, I want to say the most medals and shit like that in the amateurs, man. Like, bro, it is like the Cuban school of boxing is just very dedicated. If you see fighters, they're very dedicated, they're very poised. Fighters like Erislandy Lara, he can have a fighter hurt, but he still remains calm. He doesn't, Lara, Rigondeaux is one of them. Rigondeaux, a lot of people consider Rigondeaux to be boring, but they're very dedicated to their craft. And a lot of guys don't even like fighting Cuban fighters. For example, Luis Ortiz. Now, I know after Wilder beat Luis Ortiz, a lot of people want to criticize him for being old, but I clearly remember, y'all can act like y'all don't remember, but I clearly remember. I was there. I remember all these boxers avoiding Luis Ortiz and how people were saying why Anthony Joshua should fight. Why should Anthony Joshua fight Luis Ortiz? Wilder hasn't fought nobody. Wilder should fight Luis Ortiz. And how Luis Ortiz was Anthony Joshua's WBO mandatory and even signed with Matchroom and was still kept away from Anthony Joshua. Like, a lot of people act like they don't remember that. But guess what? Your boy right here, Mr. Boxing Knowledge himself, definitely remembers that. So, man, Cuba, and the sad part about Cuba boxing, bro, is people would defect, right? They would be on these small little boats, and I would hear stories about them. Man, some people even died trying to get out of that country to try to get on the ocean on them small little boats, fighting storms and brutal harsh waves, trying to defect to get to Miami and shit. That's why a lot of Cubans are in Miami. A lot of Cuban boxers, if you noticed, a lot of Cuban boxers are they reside or train in Miami. One, a few in Texas and shit, bro. But you know what I'm saying? Man, people they defect, and they would defect on these small ass boats and be riding these waves for 2 days. They said 2 days, man, these harsh ass waves. And it was many people have died by trying to travel from Cuba to America or wherever they could just so they can turn pro or whatever. And then what happens is, if they would try to defect and if they would get caught, they would be in prison. They would be locked up or whatnot. So and so many of them left their kids behind. I remember I think it was Erislandy Lara when he left, and once you leave, I think it was a rule that you couldn't come back for 8 years. So he left and would send money back for his kids, but his kids that he had back that he hasn't seen in at that time 6-7 years. And matter of fact, it was 7 years. And I remember he was like, man, this is my last year and I'll be able to go back and see my son or whatever. It was sad, bro. And forgive me for not knowing the reason why they banned pro boxing, but it's a sad thing, man. I hope one day they can do some type of biography on it, just something that we can see, because it was definitely sad, man, to hear all these guys from Cuba they're dying, trying to defect from Cuba to make a better life for their family, because Cuba is a very poor island or whatnot, and it's just a sad thing to see. It was a sad thing to hear, rather. But it says, to continue with the article, it says, with Castro shutting the door on the dreams of fighters wishing to fight and pay due, and to his belief that a sport was corrupt, so that maybe that's why, because boxing was such a corrupt sport, which it is. Cuba have remained the dominant force in the vested code with vast collection of international tournament medals. So that's what I was telling you about. They've been dominating the amateur boxing, man. They've been dominated. Now it appears that boxers wanting to compete in professional circles will now be granted the opportunity to do so. 3.5 years ago, a serious analyst began that has resulted in an approved agreement and will be seen by direction of the country sports and the Cuban Boxing Federation with Golden Ring Promotions for a representation of Cuba in its entry to professional boxing. That is a beautiful thing, man. That is a beautiful thing. So, man, I just want to give my take on it, bro. First and foremost, congratulations, man. Listen, a lot of people, you know, the Cubans, they come over here, they defect over here. Some of them lie about their age. It's rumored that, you know, people don't really believe that Luis Ortiz is only 40. They think he's older than what he is. But man, regardless, man, this is a beautiful thing. I'm super excited to see this, man, because anybody knows, man, you got so many talent coming out of Cuba. Frank Sanchez, Luis Ortiz, like I said, your Dennis Ugas, who just beat Pacquiao, Guillermo Rigondeaux. Listen, I don't care what nobody says. Yes, Guillermo Rigondeaux might not be the most entertaining fighter, but man, that dude is skilled, especially in his prime. Like when he was fighting Nonito Donaire, that dude was a wizard, man. You know, Erislandy Lara, bro. At one point, bro, nobody wanted to fight, and a lot of Cuban fighters are avoided, bro. A lot of Cuban fighters are avoided, bro. At 154, at one point, nobody wanted to fight Erislandy Lara. Erislandy Lara had to go on stage and call out Canelo, and Canelo was like, man, fuck it, you know. Canelo was like, fuck it, we gonna have to fight, because he just came up on stage and called me out, you know. But nobody wanted to fight Erislandy Lara. I think in the amateurs, he beat Demetrius Andrade. Dude he was a hell of a talent. Nobody wanted to fight Luis Ortiz. Again, nobody wanted to fight Luis Ortiz. Guillermo Rigondeaux at his time, bro, because of his style, was one of the most avoided fighters to ever lace up in boxing. I can't lie to you. Abner Mars didn't want to fight dude. Leo Santa Cruz didn't want to fight dude. Kent Cawthorn. Nobody wanted to fight this man. Nobody, bro. And still, until Nonito Donaire, who I've always had the utmost respect for, because Nonito Donaire is a fucking warrior. He'll fight anybody. But Nonito Donaire was the only one to step up, man. So it's and these are just a few that defected from Cuba. Now that Cuba is, you're able to turn pro with Cuba in Cuba. I think that, bro, we finna see a shitload of fighters come from that island, bro. And it's a beautiful thing, bro. It's a beautiful thing. It shakes everything up now. And they don't have to defect out of the country and try to, you know, and leave their kids and their family behind. Even though they send money back, it's still a sad thing, bro. I think that is a wonderful thing with that's going on, bro. And personally, I love it. I think that I cannot wait to see the talent that comes out of Cuba into the pro level boxing, bro. Like, man, it just shakes everything up and it makes it that much more interesting in boxing. I think this is a very good thing for boxing. A very good thing for boxing, bro. So I cannot wait, man. Like I said, my favorite, you know, even going back to Joel Casamayor, like, man, my favorite Cuban fighter as of like recent times, I would probably say Guillermo Rigondeaux. I love skilled fighters now. Granted, Guillermo Rigondeaux is, he's not the most, you have to really appreciate boxing and the technicalities of boxing to appreciate Guillermo Rigondeaux. But dude, man, in his prime, not his recent fights, but in his prime, bro, that dude was a master technician to watch, and I enjoy watching him. I just wish that he was promoted better. But man, they, you know, he just you know, just a little small dude. He just, but did like dude, like his defense was so crazy, and he was ducked so much that he got desperate and had to move up 2 weight classes to fight Lomachenko. And Lomachenko, being a master at himself, you know, and already being a bigger fighter, not just a bigger fighter, but a master in what he does, you know, made Rigondeaux quit. But man, that's my thoughts, man. I can't wait to see the Cubans, man. I love Cuban boxing, bro. I sparred a Cuban before, never competed against one, but it's a beautiful thing. Let me know what you guys think. Who is your favorite Cuban boxer? What do you think about them coming into the pro ranks, man? Make sure you subscribe, like, comment. But what do I know?